Hope you all and all your family members are safe and healthy staying at home. You might be aware of that government have planned to establish a brand new regulator for the development and regulation of valuation profession. In this regard, committee of expert under the leadership of IBBI chairman Dr. Sahu was formed to examine the need of institutional framework for regulation and development of valuation professionals. This committee gave its recommendation along with the draft Valuer Bill 2020. As per the committee report, India has a long history of valuation profession. There are different statutes under Banking Regulation Act, Income Tax Act, Wealth Tax Act, Companies Act, and recently constituted Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. All of these require valuation for a variety of purposes. At present, the valuation under various statutes is in self-regulatory mode. The user generally focus on demand side, what's need to be valued, who can render valuation services, and the manner of such valuation. They did not focus on supply side of valuation services. The self-regulatory professional organizations such as the Institution of Surveyors, Institution of Valuers, and Institute of Chartered Accountants of India have made efforts in the past to develop and regulate the valuation profession. But these efforts were insufficient to meet the developing market. Over the years, the valuation profession has developed as an independent multidisciplinary profession. For many practitioners of valuation, it is still a part-time vocation, often as an extension of their primary profession. In the past, IBBI has tried to bring in unified institutional framework for development and regulation of valuation profession through the company's registered valuer and valuation rules 2017. Its scope is limited to valuation required under IBC and Companies Act. Thus, the government through this bill is planning to bring in a separate regulator for valuation profession. Hello friends, my name is Karun Nagpal. I am a valuer registered with Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. And in this video, I am going to talk about the proposed structure of valuation in the draft Valuation Bill 2020. So friends, let us discuss draft Valuer Bill in detail. So we will first talk about an overview how valuation is being progressing in India, committee recommendation and structure under the proposed regime. And then we will discuss the draft valuers bill in detail. So establishment of National Institute of Valuers, and then valuation requirement under various statutes, valuer under the proposed scheme, how he will function, the eligibility criteria to become the valuer under the proposed regime, classes of valuer, setting up an valuer entity, how it is different from the existing structure of chartered accountants and company secretary, asset classes, transitional arrangement from the existing companies valuer rules 2017 to this act. And we will talk about CPRs and conduct of valuers, professional fees, and then offense and penalties. So let us start. An overview about the valuation bill. So committee was formed to examine the need of the institutional framework for valuation professional, and committee, after an extensive discussion with all the stakeholders, RVOs, registered valuers, other professional institute and all, they come up with the draft bill. So earlier also there were several attempts made to have an institutional framework of for valuation professionals, and but this could not get approved in the parliament, and draft valuation bill 2008 was also framed, but could not approved in the parliament. Registered valuers and valuation rules, however, came in 2017. So they have tried to bring in the framework, and it was applicable only for valuation under IBC and Companies Act. And currently it is like we have 3000 plus valuers that are registered under these rules, so they will automatically get transition to the valuers act once it gets constituted. So committee has in the month of April gave its report in along with the draft valuer bill, and so it recommended the institutional framework. So they say that they wanted to bring in this valuation professional as the most valuable uh, team of professionals, and they wanted to foresee it as a full-time profession like CAs, doctors, etc. And they say that it should not be limited to companies and IBC. They are planning to cover all the acts, and valuation done in all acts should be done by the valuer. Then this is the layout for draft valuers bill. So the act is divided into 6 parts and has 69 sections and 5 schedules. So part 1 talks about the definition, 2 talks about the National Institute of Valuers, establishment, governing council. It has 4 chapters. And then part 3 talks about the discharge of function by the NIV and regulation and role of government, adjudication and all. And then part 4 talks about asset class, valuers, VPO, valuation, education, how valuation institute will work, and the market for valuation services, how it will develop. Part 5 talk about offenses and penalties. Part 6 about miscellaneous, that include transition from the existing structure to the new structure. And 5 schedules, so schedule 1 and 2 talks about contravention by valuers. 3 talks about contravention by valuation professional organization. 4 talks about by valuer institute. 5 talks about the amendment in the Companies Act. So section 247 have to be amended to have associate or fellow member instead of registered valuer, and they have to repeal these valuation rules that are in force right now. So structured in under the proposed regime would be, there will be one regulator sitting at the top, that would be National Institute of Valuer, and its role would be to register and regulate the profession. We will talk about the its roles and responsibility in detail. Then comes the Valuer Institute. So its role would be to offer coaching classes, conduct examination, and it will be like there will be number of valuer institute which would be competing among themselves. When you crack the entrance examination, you can go to any valuer institute and continue your education. Then comes the valuation professional organization. So these professional organization will be primarily responsible for the development of profession, and valuer has to enroll himself with these organization, and they will act as a frontline regulator and will assist the National Institute of Valuers. So National Institute of Valuers would have primary objective as the development and regulation of valuation profession, and they will try to develop the market for valuation services by incorporating all the acts into the Valuers Act ambit. And valuers shall register and regulate these institute, and VPOs will get regulated by NIV, and they will conduct entrance and the exit tests, and they will also issue the valuation standards. VPO will promote the professional development of its member and will ensure their ethical conduct and monitor the activity of the valuers and redress grievances by the users, safeguard the rights of the members, valuers, and other function as may be specified by the NIV. Valuer Institute basically deliver the educational courses, and it will provide education and conduct internal examination. So there will be fees that would be commensurate with the market standard, so competitive, and so it will endeavor to provide financial support to the student who cannot afford by way of scholarship or education loan arrangement, and will conduct the examination for National Valuation Program and Graduate Valuation Program. We will talk about these programs and will give some credit hours, so we will talk about that. Conduct training and examination for limited valuation program. So in case one professional who is experienced and have requisite qualification is willing to enter into this profession, he can directly enter into this profession without going to National Valuation Program or Graduate Valuation Program route. So we will talk about that also, and it will finally issue the certificate once you crack the internal examination to get eligible for the exit test conducted by the NIV. So initially, after the enactment of the bill, only Companies Act and IBC will be covered under valuation bill, and over the period, other acts will be, they will bring in all the acts. So valuation, whether it is done for government, for any public authority, or for financial institution shall be conducted by a valuer only. So there is a valuation requirement if I talk about. So valuation may be required for regulatory purposes, restructuring, financial reporting, and other miscellaneous purposes such as litigation and family settlement. So currently they have listed out a number of acts which will definitely cover into, and they have given the provision that they may add other acts or other circumstances where valuation is to be done by a valuer. So these are the list of statutes that are covered under the Act, such as Banking Regulation Act, SCRA, Wealth Tax, Income Tax, AB. All these will get covered automatically once the Act is there through notification. So initially only IBC and Companies Act will be there, and gradually over the time, maybe in couple of years, they will make mandatory all these acts valuation to be done by a registered valuer, and they may also bring in some other acts, so they will issue a notification to incorporate those into the. Now let's talk about the asset classes. We will have three asset class: land and building, plant and machinery, same as in the company's valuer rules 2017. So to begin with, we will have only three classes: land and building, plant and machinery, securities, and financial assets. Then over time, the NIV may add or subtract new classes or increase or decrease the scope of the classes. But the bills talk about that they will have to begin with only three classes, and the assets displaying the similar characteristic will be grouped together with these classes. So an individual can register for all the classes if he meet the eligibility criteria for all three classes. So for example, an individual who is a bachelor in engineering and has done the MBA finance later on, he can, on the basis of BE or BTech, he can register for plant and machinery and land and building, and on the basis of MBA finance, he can register for securities and financial assets. But he will have to crack the examination thrice to get himself registered as a valuer for all the three categories. Then classes of valuer. So unlike CA, we have an additional class, the honorary valuer. So government may, on recognition of some kind of extraordinary contribution by an individual, may give him honorary valuer certificate, but he will not be able to practice. So broadly, we would have associate valuer and fellow valuer. And associate valuer would be able to prefix letter AV to his name, and all valuer, irrespective of experience, maybe if you have 5 years of experience and someone has 25 years of experience, when the bill will comes in, so both will become the associate valuer. And after completing 5 years of practice, he can apply for fellow valuer and he will become fellow valuer. There may be valuation entity also, like we have CA firms or LLPs. So valuation entity, a group of valuers can register them as a valuation entity. So valuation entity here, unlike CA firms, company can also be a valuer entity. So partnership firm, LLP, or company, but it should not be this subsidiary. That is the condition, and can be registered provided the primary objective is to provide the valuation services. So primary objective means 50% of the revenue should be derived from the valuation services, and not going insolvency and liquidation. Majority of the partner should be valuers having the COP, and so here is a limitation. One person cannot become a partner or director in two valuers entity. Unlike CA, we can be a partner in two firms, but here you cannot become a partner or director in two entities. And then the partnership firm or company and all its partner and director who are valuers shall be jointly and severally liable. So this is copied from the valuers rules. And however, they have brought in the proviso here that a partner director shall not be liable where the acts of omission or commission without his knowledge or he had exercised due diligence to prevent the same. So in case of a valuer's entity, two partners are there, and one partner has signed the report and other partner is unaware of that, so he may protect himself by saying that I was not aware of those circumstances or those facts. Then the transitional arrangement from the existing registered valuers rules 2017. So all the registered valuers there who are registered with IBBI shall automatically become the associate valuers under this new regime. Valuers engaged in valuation services having qualification may seek registration within 3 years. They will have to undergo 400 hours of training and then clear the limited valuation examination. Or valuation engaged in valuation services meeting eligibility norms under the valuation rule except qualification. So if someone has 5 years of experience and he can also register as a valuer, clear the exam, complete the training, so they are giving 2 or 3, as the case may be, this time to enter into this profession initially. Registered valuer organization will automatically become the VPO. So there are around 12 RVOs that will automatically get transitioned to this bill through this bill and will become valuation professional organization. And the regulator right now under the registered valuers and valuation rules is IBBI. So once the NIV is formed, they will pass on the authority to NIV. So here in the transitional arrangement, they have not discussed the role of valuation entity, whether the valuation entity will get automatically transitioned to the new structure or not. So they have missed, but however they have discussed in their report about their stake. Maybe they will once this get finalized, they will before finalizing they will amend and incorporate that. This is the list of registered valuer organization registered under the existing rules. So they are 12 in number and most of them are registered in all the 3 asset class. ICAI RBO is registered only for securities and financial assets. Then comes the eligibility criteria to become a valuer. So candidates who have passed the higher secondary or are graduates or are experienced professional or are having experience in valuation can enter into this. So the act has given 2 to 3 year time for the professionals or individual who have experience to enter into this profession. Later on, they will have only national valuation program and graduate valuation program. So let us talk about all these programs one by one. National Valuation Program is a 4-year integrated full-time professional course that include 1 year of internship, and eligibility is 12th, and candidate has to crack the entrance examination conducted by NIV. So this will be similar to CAT entrance examination. You have to prepare on your own and enroll with the NIV and crack this entrance exam. Once you crack the entrance exam, you will have to go through the entire program. Then comes the graduate valuation program. It is 2-year full-time professional course, include 1 year of internship, and the eligibility is graduate in specified disciplines. For example, if you are graduate in finance, BCom, then you can enter into security and financial asset. So again, candidate has to crack the entrance test and undergo this fully 2-year full-time program. Then comes the limited valuation program for experienced professionals. So professionals who have more than 5 years of experience, so they have to pass the valuation examination, and they should have 5 years of experience of rendering valuation services. Complete the evaluation program, 400 hours of training is there, and so validity is 2 years from the enactment of this act. Within 2 years you have to crack the examination and complete this trainings. Then comes the limited valuation program for specified qualification. So candidate who are having specified qualification, they have to pass the valuation examination, complete the specified hours of training, and then in this case the validity is 3 years. So from the enactment of this act, within 3 years they have to clear all this. So let us talk about the what is the specified qualification for under this program. So in case of plant and machinery, one has to be graduate with 5 years of post qualification experience. So graduate in the in these disciplines specified, and postgraduate in plant and machinery. So if someone is postgraduate in valuation of plant and machinery and he has 3 years of experience, then he can go through the limited valuation examination route. Again, land and building, engineer, architecture, or and all 5 years. And in case you have a PG, then 3 years. And for financial assets, if one is a member of ICI, ICSI, ICMAI, or MBA, postgraduate diploma in finance, or PG in finance, it is 3 years. Then valuer under the proposed regime. So I think we already understand this. So step 1 is to crack the valuer entrance test to be conducted by NIV, then registered with the Valuer Institute, earn credit hours, clear the internal examinations, and you will have to undergo the generic subject credit hours training and specified subject credit hour training in case you are doing land and building. So land and building specified credit hours, and then practice credit. And then on completing the course you will get a certificate, then register for internship and pass the final exit examination that is conducted by NIV. So once everything is done, you have to apply for membership with the valuation professional organization, and then finally you will have to apply to NIV for registration as a valuer, and your name will appear on their list. So you will be associate valuer. So valuation exam credit. So this is something new. This was not there in CA. So let me quickly discuss that. So there will be generic subject credit, specific subject credit, and practice credit. For example, an individual shall be considered to have completed the program if he has specified subject credit in general category, and then subject they will notify how many credits hours you need. So for particular category or class of asset. So for land and building, so you have to subject specific credit hours you have to accumulate, and then practice test relating to land and building you have to accumulate. Then you are eligible to apply for the exit test. Then COP, so similar to CA, one cannot have COP if he is in employment. So after registration, you would have to apply for COP, and if you are in employment, you cannot have COP. However, whole-time director, if in case you are of a valuer entity, that will not be considered as an employment, and NIV will develop this valuation profession as a full-time over the years. So they say in the committee report, like after 5 years of enactment, so one cannot have multiple COPs. So you will have to, if you are a chartered accountant or as company secretary and you want to pursue valuation as a profession, and then you have to take the COP here as a valuer, and you would have to surrender the COP as a CA or CS. And there is no age limit prescribed. Upper age limit is not there, like IPs have 70 years of age limit. So under this, there is no age limit prescribed. One can practice till he is of sound mind. Let's talk about valuation report quickly. So valuation report should be signed by an individual valuer, same as in case of audit report. In case of entity structure, valuation report shall be signed by a partner or director who is a valuer of the relevant asset class. So here three people from different asset class may form a valuer entity, and suppose the entity is doing valuation for a particular class, so only that individual who has the certificate for that class can sign the report. Valuation report should cover all the material relevant information. Report should not carry the disclaimers which has potential to dilute the responsibility of valuers. So that you should not say that my report is based upon the projection provided by the management. So valuer should have to apply own mind, understand the market trends and what industry is doing, and to assess the projections. NIV will determine the extent of disclosure to be made in the valuation report. So they will come up with the draft value report, so will specify the disclosure that are required to be made in the report. And report shall be admissible as an expert evidence, so in court of law. So that has to be like with conclusive evidence. Conduct of valuer. So a valuer shall, while conducting a valuation, comply with the valuation standard as notified. So valuation standard will be notified by NIV, and until the valuation standard are notified, valuer has to use the internationally accepted valuation standard or valuation standard by valuation professional organization. So ICI RVO has specified the valuation standard. There are 8 in number. So if someone is a member of ICI RVO, he can use those standards. A valuer shall conduct valuation and prepare valuation report. So manner may be specified how valuation report will be. A valuer shall not outsource the valuation services to another person. However, a valuer can use the services of an expert, like in case of a forensic auditor, so he can use, and in case a valuer is of a particular class and he need valuation for another class of asset, he may use the report of another valuer. Valuer shall not conduct a valuation where he has conflict of interest, and valuer should not charge success fees or fees linked to the value of the asset. Then comes the offenses and penalties. So these are pretty harsh, I would say. A person not being a valuer represent that he is a valuer using a designation as valuer, signs a valuation report on behalf of valuer, or in case of valuer not having COP, practice as a valuer or sign any document. So on first conviction, he will be levied a fine of 1 lakh minimum, that is minimum, up to that may go up to 10 lakh rupees, and on subsequent conviction with imprisonment up to 3 years, or with fine which may be minimum 10 lakh and may go up to 5 crore. And there will be the government will set up special court under the chapter 28 of Companies Act to take the trial of the offences by valuers, VPO and valuers institute. And in case there is a default by a valuer who is a valuer in all the 3 classes in a particular category, suppose a valuer is having valuation certificate for land and building, plant and machinery, and security and financial assets, and he do some misconduct in securities and financial assets. So they will take action against that individual, and he will made him ineligible for all the 3 classes, irrespective of the fact that he has not done any default in other category of class of assets. Then professional fees, the committee is of the view that there should be no constraint on fees. So fees they have left open to the market to decide. They say that the fixed fees by the regulator may not be a market clearing price, and the minimum fees has a tendency to become the maximum fees. Suppose they come up with the fees from 25,000 to 1 lakh rupees. So 25 will become the standard minimum fees, and some may have the potential to charge extra fees, so they cannot go beyond 1 lakh rupees. So that is why the committee has left the professional fees open. So they say no two valuation or two valuers are equal. Therefore, no fees prescribed in the bill. Then comes the CPE. Committee is of the opinion that valuer should be required to top up his knowledge continuously. So in their report, they have given a very nice story of a woodcutter. So there was a woodcutter who had been cutting the woods for years, but he never got a raise. So others who joined after him were getting raise every year, even though he was working very hard, and they were taking rest in between and they were taking off. And then he got frustrated and he met his boss and raised his concern before him. And then the boss replied that you were cutting the same number of trees that you were cutting 5 years back, so how can I give you raise? The woodcutter went back and worked harder, put long hours, but he could not improve much. And then finally he consulted with his colleagues and learned that they took 5 minutes break each time they cut a tree, and in between they sharp their axe. So some of them even use some kind of mechanical tools, and he also started using those techniques, and later on was able to improve his productivity and got raise. So this is how they wanted to illustrate, and so therefore a valuer, once he has become valuer, to improve and upgrade himself, he should undergo these CPRs. So NIV once constituted will either adopt the ICAI model, insolvency professional model, or Malaysia model, which they have specified in their report. That was all about Draft Valuation Bill 2020. To conclude, I would say the Draft Valuation Bill has given opportunity to the professional who wish to pursue valuation as a full-time profession and are willing to enter into the valuation profession without going into 2 years full-time program. However, this option shall be valid for initial 2 to 3 years as the case may be from the enactment of this statute. Considering the past pace of the government in converting bills into act, we could have seen the valuation bill approved in this budget session or monsoon session had we been not facing the COVID crisis. Further, till the time the bill do not get enacted, experienced professional can still enter into this profession through companies registered valuer rule 2017 by completing 50 hours training and clearing the valuation examination conducted by IBPI. That was all in this video. Thank you for watching my videos.